Hello, I'm Coach Rusty, certified addiction recovery coach and certified abuse recovery coach, and I help successful driven Christian men from crummy childhoods who are addicted to pornography and other unwanted sexual behaviors achieve purity is the new sexy by helping them heal from the trauma and the wounds that are driving them to act out in the first place.
Hi, and I'm Amy Noakes. I'm a betrayal, trauma, and grief coach, helping women navigate the life of a betrayed spouse. I'm also LCDCI, helping people with chemical dependency. This is Purity is the New Sexy Coaching, episode number 10, Disclosure. D-Day.
D-Day. And the purpose of this episode is to discuss disclosure and two philosophies behind it. So whether you were discovered yet, whether you've disclosed or not, maybe you haven't gotten there yet and you're worried about that day, because there will come that day. Hopefully, like you said before, you have the chance to do disclosure before there's discovery, but almost always the woman knows something.
She knows something.
She knows something.
She just doesn't know the depth to which...
And doesn't know how to approach you or confront you and all that kind of thing. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you decide to get some help. And you can get help, you can get sober, and you can live a life of recovery without ever having disclosure. You can. But you will also not have probably the marriage that you could have if you have disclosure, because there's always going to be something a little bit lacking in the intimacy and all that junk. So, two thoughts on disclosure. When I first got started in recovery, I went through the Conquer series. Dr. Ted Roberts, he's amazing, love him. His philosophy is that once a man gets into recovery, that he does not have full disclosure with his better half until he's got 90 days of sobriety. And the thought process behind that is because if you get into recovery and you're, going along 2-3 weeks, and all of a sudden you have a lapse, and you bump your head and you look at something you shouldn't, and then you tell her about it. Another week or two goes by and you have another whoopsie and you tell her about it. You continuously re-traumatize her every time. As well as, she's probably obviously hurting, but she's probably, proud of you to some extent for at least now getting in the game, getting some help, rooting you on. Okay, great. I'm glad you're finally dealing with this and taking it on. Awesome. But then you have these relapses and it's like, okay, so why is this not working? Like, are you not doing something right? Is your group not a very good group? Is your coach not a very good coach? I thought you were really going to work on this. I mean, and so
belittling may happen at that point too, which is not good. Why can't you get this? Why is there not? And that's not healthy either.
Absolutely. So the idea behind the 90 days, though, is that, a man gets into recovery. He's working with a coach. He's working in a group, whatever. And he gets 90 days behind him with no viewing, no acting out. So you can get sober in 90 days. It still takes 2 to 5 years to heal the mind. So you've still got a long ways to go as far as that. And you're still going to have challenges. You're still going to have to deal with traumas and wounds and then heal. But as far as the acting out, once you get 90 days, then the waters kind of smooth out and the odds go way up that you're not going to have more lapses. So then it's at that point that you have disclosure. She already knows something, but now it's time to say, okay, look, yes, I've had this problem. I've had it for so many years, whatever, and here's everything that I've been doing. And you talk about, just all your junk, and let her know, maybe not every little significant gory detail, but like if you've been online, flirting online, something like that. If you were having affairs, okay, stuff like that. Get it all out, and then you can start to rebuild. But at least then, with all of that, blow up, at least then you can say, but hey, you know what? I have not done anything for 90 days.
Right.
And that says something. Like I'm getting some traction, and I'm doing it for a reason, and I'm doing it for you, and it's been hard, but I'm really working hard, and I've got some evidence of that. So that's the reason for waiting that 90 days. Now, Dr. Doug Weiss, another great man, he's got a different philosophy, and he does full disclosure right up front, bam. And
Cut the head off the snake.
Yep. Now,
Let's deal with it.
the guy may and probably will have some kind of little whoopsie. Most guys do. Relapse is part of recovery most of the time. And that's not to discourage you, but it just happens.
Statistics, yeah.
So, but his thing is this. Whenever he's working, he's usually working with couples. And he's usually got them both.
And an intensive.
In a very intensive environment. And they're digging deep and going all in, hard and heavy, fast.
Both sides have
Both
support.
sides, exactly. So if they come in for a session and the guy has had a whoopsie, yes, it's going to
support.
re-traumatize her, but they're both there together and she's got the support she needs. She has someone there to explain, like, okay, he's in recovery. Yes, he had a whoopsie. We're not going to justify it and excuse it, but here's maybe why it happened. Let's analyze why it happened. Let's see what we can do differently moving forward, and give her a safety net and a place to be comforted and work through that trauma. If I'm working with a guy, hopefully his better half is also getting some help for her betrayal trauma because she's got some stuff to work through. And hopefully if he has a whoopsie, she has somebody to support her. But I'll tell you, a lot of times, the guys that I'm working with, their wives are just like, I'm not doing anything. I don't need healing. I don't want healing. It's on you.
We did a YouTube on that.
Yeah, we did a whole thing on that.
Opinion.
And you ladies have got to get in the game.
Together, yeah.
Whether you want to admit it or not,
you need help
you've got some healing to do. And even if you don't think you do, you do. just have a session with somebody and that will reveal itself. And it's not a bad, scary thing. I mean, it's a great thing. But anyway, the point is that a lot of times that when I'm working with a guy, their wives are just like not doing anything. Well, I sure don't want them telling them every time they have a boo-boo because she's got nowhere to go with it. She's probably going to beat him up. So I want to know that he's at least got 90 days before he says anything. That way when she does have her blow up, he can say, yeah, you can be as mad as you want to be. And yes, it's disgusting. And yes, I'm sorry. But hey, I've got 90 days and I'm not doing this anymore no matter what. So that's your two different, trains of thought on the disclosure. Anyway, say you.
Yeah, I like them both too. Especially
neither one is necessarily right or wrong.
Right. No, they're both great.
They're both right in the right situation, I believe. I believe. Because if I had a man and a woman that were going to work with me or us at the same time, and we were going to see them once a week, 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, we're coming out right now.
Okay, I'm down for that because then she's got a place to be when that happens. But anyway, sorry, I kind of interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I like both. I think they both have their place. It just depends on the couple, the person, the situation, the extent to which everything needs to be disclosed. I mean, sometimes it's just, hey, I just watch pornography. Sometimes it's, hey, I go to massage parlors, I watch pornography. There's masturbation. Sometimes prostitutes. I mean, sometimes the layers that are there, and the level to which a man may find himself in this addiction is extensive. And a lot of times the woman doesn't have a clue. There might be this whole other life that her spouse has been living.
There's been guys
she's lost her identity. She is completely wrecked. So if she's finding all of this out day one and she doesn't have a support group, that is extremely traumatizing and very harmful. So that's why the support is necessary on both sides, especially if the extent of the betrayal, to what extent that betrayal is. Not to minimize just pornography. I'm not trying to minimize that because that truly wrecks the brain and wrecks relationships. But when you know that your spouse has had another life versus just watching some things online, that's pretty extraordinary and extraordinarily harmful. So that's...
I was about to say, sorry, I was going to interrupt you, but... I mean, I was just adding to, there's guys that when they have disclosure, like they've been having like maybe not a wife, but maybe like pretty much a wife, like in a business, they travel and they got a whole nother. There's been guys with families, like 2 families going on.
Right.
So,
And so how do you deal with that as a woman? I mean, you've lost your identity. You're married to someone who you thought you knew, and you thought your circumstance and your situation was what it was, and it wasn't. And so the rug, everything, your whole world just got pulled out from underneath you and tossed upside, down like a whatever those things are in the bingo thing. That's what I think of, just got tossed in and turned. And you come out and you don't know which way is up. So that's why disclosure and how it's handled is so important. That to me is the focus. To what extent is the betrayal, and how supported is she going to be? Because if she's not, maybe it's best to wait until 90 days. But if she is, then, hey, let's get it all out so we can then both go through recovery together, separate but together.
mm-hmm. So I'm curious as to those listening, from the women especially, which would you prefer? If you've got a guy that's acting out sexually in any kind of way, whether it's pornography or massages, prostitutes, whatever, and your guy decides he's going to get into recovery. Maybe you kind of forced his hand, laid down the law, so to speak, or whatever the case, though. Let's just say that he ends up in recovery and he's working with somebody. I would love to hear comments from the ladies. Would you prefer him to just give you everything right up front, knowing that in the beginning he's probably going to have some kind of whoopsie? Now maybe he,
I want to say something about that too when you're done.
Or would you prefer to wait until he's got some solid experience and success behind him, the 90 days? That way when he does come out with it, yes, it's you don't want to hear it, but at least you can see that, hey, I can tell you've been working, I can tell you've been growing, and you will. If he's been working and gotten 90 days, you're going to see a significant difference just in his attitude, his demeanor, his personality will change.
Yes.
Just everything brightens, and you know there's still a lot to grow through, but you will see a difference. So I'm just curious, what would you prefer? What do you want to say?
I wanted to say women too have a voice, and we can say how much of it we want to hear. So while there's a disclosure and things are being disclosed, it doesn't have to be where you have to sit and listen to every little thing that he's done. It's not like that. And so I think that's where a lot of people get confused too, is that, in exposure, and eliminating the secrecy doesn't mean that we're going to talk about the type of woman or the type of scenario.
We're not going to go pain shopping.
We're not. It's just, here's what happened. It was, 3 affairs. It was 2 massage parlors. It was pornography. That's it. And maybe whatever it is. Now, obviously, it's a different set of circumstances if it's someone that's got an entirely other family going on. Obviously, that has to be looked at a little bit closer because, that's a heavy one. But, yeah, it's not like we're sitting out and we're laying all the cards out, every little picture of everything that happened. It's not like that. It's very traumatizing.
And just maybe speak to the ladies, because I know some of the guys, their wives pain shop a lot.
Well, and some women want to know the details because it helps them process, and that's okay too. So there's a fine line between like what you're calling pain shopping. I want to be the victim. Oh, what other news can I put in my brain to help me remain a victim? That's not what it's about.
What position did y'all do it in? This,
no,
some of these,
no,
like
that's,
what?
No, that's irrelevant. But
that's what I mean by pain shopping. Some of those kind of details.
But some women do want to know details, and that's okay. You have a right to know as many details as you want up front. And then that's it. We don't revisit it, a million times and try to understand and work it out. We instead work on our own healing. Now, if we have some legitimate questions, there's been times that I've come back to him and said, hey, just out of curiosity, I kind of want to know about fill in the blank. And he'll say, okay. And we might talk about it a little bit, and then you can kind of feel where you stop, where you need to stop. It's like, okay, that's it. Both sides, we're done talking about it. Let's move on. I got my answer. So it's okay to have a relationship and to talk about the things. You know, it helps keep you in a position of, you know, being proactive and being, you know, in the light versus in secret. And it keeps you in a place of movement and moving through your recovery instead of becoming stagnant and ruminating on thoughts that may be lies in your head. And those don't need to live there either. So there's a fine line with all of this and how to navigate, you know, the information that's disclosed.
Cool. So really, you know, we'll kind of land this one, but when it comes to your personal situation, disclosure is important. And it's also important, though, that both of you have a safe place to go to navigate all the emotions and just that process.
Right.
If you want, ladies, if you want some of these details, if you want this full disclosure that you're entitled to, do your man a favor, do yourself a favor, because I know you're probably pissed at him anyway, you don't want to do him any favors, but do yourself a favor by getting some help, somebody to talk to, a group, Amy Jo, whatever.
Yes.
Because it's super hard to just hear all that and not just have a freak out and do things that are
Right.
just as unhealthy and damaging to the relationship. Y'all want this thing to come back, and it can. It can come back and be great. I mean, we are having the time of our life. We're having the best time that we've had in 10 years. We just, yesterday the day?
Yeah.
That we
met 11
yesterday?
years ago yesterday.
Yeah. So, you know, we're having the best time that we've ever had in 11 years.
Yeah.
And we've gone through a bunch of junk. So you can bring it back together, and it can be better than ever. Truly it can. Just got to do it the right way. So
Right.
that's what we're here for. Guys, if you need to have the conversation, if you want to have the conversation, it'll be the best thing you've ever done for yourself and for those that you love. I promise. Your mind will work better. You will be more productive. You will be more intimate. You'll be better than you've ever been at everything you've ever done.
Right.
So if you would like to have an absolutely life-changing coaching experience, book a call with me. I'll give you 2 hours of my time. We will work through so much. You will discover and address your root causes. We will teach you how to take control of that bully in your head so that you can finally say no to all the noise in there and and say no to all those, what's the word I'm trying to say, the temptations.
Right. The addiction.
The addiction.
We kind of give it its own person and say, my addiction was trying to make me.
And on that call, I will tell you step by step exactly how I went from a 30-year addict to having it behind me and living a life with no pornography, no acting out sexually, having a renewed mind and having the time of my life. 2 hours. So, and for ladies, if you need work on your betrayal trauma, that's a thing, and I feel so bad for you ladies that have to experience that. I'm sorry that I put you through so much trauma, and I mean, it's horrible. My heart goes out to you ladies. Even if your guy does not get the help that he needs right away, please.
You need help too.
Get some support. Call this one right here.
And I know I've been there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we love you. Hey, again, if you like the videos, even if you hate the videos, like them and share them and help us reach other people. The more likes, the more shares, all that good stuff, the more people that we can reach. I don't understand all the algorithms. I just know that it works. And we're truly helping a lot of people, so help us do that. And we would love to hear from you. Comment, ask questions. Ladies, I want to know about you. Would you want to know full disclosure right up front? Or would you rather have your guy have 90 days before you know anything so that you can at least see that he's getting some traction? All right, until next time, God bless you, and we'll see you soon.